What is up, everybody, and welcome to Team Amation's review of Guardians of the Galaxy. And before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Campea, one half of Team Amation, and joining me is also the other half of Team Amation, Miss Kaori Take.
Yes, but maybe I'm Campea.
Maybe I'm Campea. We are Team Amation. We're here, obviously excited to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy. Neither of us can breathe right now because this mask is completely squishing our faces, so I think you get the point. We're going to take these off right now.
If I can. Oh. Look how sweaty you are.
Holy crap. Pick up this mask. It's pretty amazing, by the way.
It is.
He moves, he talks, and everything else. Cool. So, like we said, we're here to review Guardians of the Galaxy, which is out this weekend on August 1st. August 1st. Happy birthday to my brother as well. But it is out, and I hope everyone gets to see it. And so we're back to review the movie. Now, we're going to start off kind of in the structure that we typically do with our reviews and go from the good, the bad, and then kind of give a rating as to whether we think you guys should see it or not. Mm-hmm. So, Kaori, why don't we start with you in terms of what you thought was good about the movie?
There's a lot of things I thought are good, and I'm sure it's going to interlap with a lot of your goods.
That's why it made you start first.
That's so sweet of you. Obviously, we really enjoyed the movie, first of all. First, I really like the soundtrack. Awesome tape mix number one.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Definitely a good soundtrack. All the music, I think, is played at the perfect time in each part of the movie. I can't even speak right now because I'm still sweating. And, you know, it takes you back, too, because they've got 70s tracks.
Speaking of music, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead. Asian dance.
This could potentially be our highest rated review. Our highest view. Anyways, go ahead.
So, amazing soundtrack. I really like the pace as well. I think from the moment it starts, there's never really a dull moment. Mm-hmm. It's never too slow. It's never too fast. Just the right amount of action. And it's really easy to follow the storyline. I say that because sometimes in movies they throw a couple storylines, but this one just has really just one linear, solid storyline. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate that because it makes it easy for us to really be entertained by it. And then, speaking of storyline, every character as an individual can kind of stand alone. I know that, Homeboy here is technically the main character, but I was just as engaged with every other of the Guardians.
Good.
Drax, and Gamora, even Nebula and Yondu, you kind of want to know more of their backstory. Mm-hmm. So I thought they did a really good job in presenting each character. And the makeup, special effects, obviously was great. Yeah. Casting was phenomenal. And my little bonus is Groot at the end. But I don't know, is this spoiler filled?
It has to be. Oh, yes. I guess we should have started with that. Sorry, guys. If you haven't seen it, maybe.
It's time to say it's spoiler filled.
Well, it's spoiler filled, but it really, we don't have we'll get to it. We don't have that last clip that typically comes after a Marvel film because both of us screened it during times where they weren't showing that clip. So neither of us is aware of what that is, what that's going to lead into or anything. So we can't spoil that for you, but we will kind of spoil on the surface level the movie. I'm going to go ahead and go into my good then while Rocket over here hacks along or something.
Rocket sweat.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything Kaori said. I have to give props to all of the casting. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. I think he brought in a perfect element of quirky, funny, yet, do-gooder type attitude that you would need in a character like Peter Quill. He was right on point, in my opinion, with the comic book. And I think in general, the whole tone of the movie was. I think James Gunn totally nailed it with the tone of the comics. They are different than anything you would read. They're not dark like any of the DC comics. They're not dark like any of some of the Marvel stories that you hear where obviously we see in the beginning of the movie that Chris Pratt's mother dies, but it wasn't a death because somebody shot her or whatever, she just died. So that being said, they're They did a really good job of setting the tone for the film throughout the whole thing. It's different than any of the Marvel movies you will see in the universe, and I think that's why this is my favorite of them all, but we'll get to that overall impressions and everything later.
I just realized you said favorite of them all. That's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for those of you that know me, I've read the comics. I was familiar with the story, and oftentimes that can kind of cloud your judgment on a film. And it can also... it could make things better or worse, really, like reading the book and then watching the movie. To me, I think they were on point with all of the stories. I like the amount of time they gave to each of these characters. While they could have easily went into the backstories, they gave just enough for you to understand what was happening and why they were there and why they became a unit. And so I agree with you when you said that this story, there was never really a jump in the story. It was very easy to follow somebody who... coming from somebody who hasn't read the comics, and I'm sure 99% of you haven't read the comics, that's a good sign, because that was my main concern going into seeing this film is, oh God, like I've read the comics, so I have a good understanding of where these characters come from and why they come together, but will somebody who hasn't read them, obviously even the average comic book fan probably hasn't read it. So I'm thinking, will other viewers outside of that understand what's going on? And I'm happy to hear that you did.
Yeah, I actually really want to know a lot more.
Good.
So I went home and started Wikipediaing the crap.
Yeah. And obviously there's some variance in the story, but not completely drastic. And we'll get to some of our negatives as well in just a second here. But I agree with everything Corey said. The music was fantastic. CGI. The tone was perfect, and I think all the casting was perfect. I was nervous about Zoe Saldana being Gamora,
too, but she did
Gamora.
She did a great job as Gamora.
Or Gamora,
and Gamora,
whatever. And also Batista. I was also nervous about him, and he did great.
Yes,
I was thoroughly impressed with all the acting in this,
and even with Groot, who really just has 3 lines.
Yes,
except at the very end, he says 1 extra word.
Yes.
I didn't understand why they really need to hire Vin Diesel. They could have been any voice actor. But I get it now.
Yeah.
For some reason, I get it.
Yeah, it works.
It works. And what I was going to say about the spoiler part was at the end, the little Groot tree. So cute. Okay. Yeah. Like that.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I also wanted to add, I'm sure you want to add this too, is I love the humor.
Yeah.
In this movie. I thought it was really well played out. So that's another way to get us engaged as an audience, because we were laughing the whole time. So it was a serious action movie, but it really kind of wasn't either. It was just a really good medium of it.
Yeah. I think you said that perfectly. So let's get to the negatives then.
This is tough because honestly, this is a really, really solid movie, and I kept racking my brain to at least think of one negative, and this would be me being super, super duper duper nitpicky, but I would say that there is no bathroom breaks. I didn't have time to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's it?
Yes.
Well, I think the timing, though, it's a 2-hour movie, so it's right there at 2 hours and like 1 minute.
That's me being nitpicky. Though,
yeah.
Because I really don't see anything in that movie where I thought, this could have been done differently. This should have been done differently.
That's good.
It was just a solid movie throughout. So I really can't think of anything except, man, I need to hold this and it's going to hurt until I get through the end of the movie.
Maybe you shouldn't drink so much before you go into a movie, Kaori. Chugging that 40 down before you walk in there. So for negatives, I have some, but like Kaori, they're kind of nitpicky or whatever. One, I'm being selfish because, like Corey said, for her positives, we want to know more about the characters. And so one of my negatives is that I didn't get to find out more about the characters. So that's just me being selfish. Knowing the backstory for some of them, I would have loved to have seen that translated on film. But with, 5 main characters in 2 hours, trying to push the story along, nearly impossible to do a backstory for each of them.
And even aside from the main characters, the 5 main guardians, the 5 guardians, you still want to know more about Nebula and Yondu.
For sure.
So it's just endless and how well they did these characters.
Right. And I thought it was perfect that it was like maybe 2 minutes that they dedicated to each background. Peter Quill obviously having a little bit more time just because he's the main character. I thought it was enough that you were like, okay, I understand this person's purpose. Except I wish I knew more, but there's no time.
But you know what's funny though is you kind of feel that as a viewer, he knows as much as you do.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. From Peter Quill's eyes, you're saying. Yeah, totally. The only other negative I could think of is that I did not feel passionate about Gamora.
Really?
Because in the comics, she is badass. And so while I think she was badass in the movie, you know, obviously her fight scenes were perfectly coordinated and everything else, I didn't get the tension that I felt when I read the comics that she has with her in the comics that she has with Thanos.
Okay.
Where she is set to want to destroy him. You know, she wants to rebel against him. She's not happy with what her father is doing. So she is fighting these wars against him. And I really didn't get that feel from the way they set her up. And perhaps you guys did. So let me know. Or perhaps you did.
I mean, that sounds like a kind of a big difference.
But again, that's only because I know a little bit more about the story. And I came in with an expectation. So that's on me. I mean, you guys might love it the way it is. And
love it.
Yeah, so that's that.
I did think of another negative.
What's that?
Chris Pratt wasn't naked at all.
He was topless.
Yeah, no man ass.
I know.
Shame.
I was actually, that's actually a surprise considering that he worked his ass off for that. By the way, he looked great.
Yeah, he did.
Amazing transformation from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that will do it for our negatives. And I was gonna say, when you guys see this, and you tell me if you feel the same way, who wants to know more about Rocket Raccoon?
I want to know more about every single one of them.
Tell me out of the if they were to make one spin-off background story of one of them, who would you pick? Who's the most interesting?
I would say the duo of Gamora and Nebula.
Nice.
As someone who didn't read the comics.
Yeah, that would be great.
Straight to the movies.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know what story they could follow with that, but that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, okay, so spoiler, Nebula lives. She gets her arm or hand cut off towards the end of the film, but she's still going to be around. So with the second film, I'm sure we're going to see her again, as well as some other characters.
I mean, I just get the feeling, because I don't know, but that they're both conflicted, but they're both handling that conflict, the self-conflict, in a very different manner. So I want to see what happens with both of them.
Yeah, that little sisterly, like, conflict would be interesting.
One's blue, one's green.
It's potential cosplay in the future for us. I would love to see Rocket.
Yeah.
They said enough of his story that out of all of them, okay, so we know Drax's family was killed by Thanos. We know Peter Quill's mom dies. We will find out more about him in Guardians 2. I am sure of it because he's the lead. We know a little bit about Gamora. Groot would be interesting too, but they say so much in so little words about Rocket that make you intrigued about his background, because he's like, I've been operated so many times. He doesn't even know what a raccoon is. Yeah. You know, so, and everyone else, you know, Peter Quill being human, half human, is like, you know, you're a raccoon, and he doesn't even know what that is. Yeah. So just the fact that, how did he take this form? What was being done to him? What kinds of experiments? Where did he come from? All of those questions were still unknown to me. And reading the comics, it's a really good story. So I would love to see that on screen.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff.
So you guys let us know which characters intrigued you. Maybe it was all of them. Maybe it was only one of them, or none of them. Who knows? Any of the bad guys that you liked? Michael Rooker was
I really liked him too.
Yeah.
And again, Nebula, I guess she's bad.
Yeah. Bad, good. I don't really know. Conflicted.
Yeah. I liked her too. Darn, I was going to say something and ask you a question, and now I forgot. Oh. But I guess...
going back to Drax, well, maybe that will come up.
Okay.
How funny was that character? Because really in the comics, Drax is pretty dry. You know, he's just kind of like a robot that wants to kill Thanos, you know? And so they pumped enough humor into this character that he had me laughing, I think, out of all of them.
How he doesn't, how he lacks metaphor.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And you know, all of us know somebody like that kind of just has a wall and they just don't know that what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, we do.
No filter. So that was pretty cool too. What else?
I mean, there's so much to say and I'm drawing a blank.
Thanos looked badass. I thought he looked great. I thought he looked exactly like he does on this.
They all look good. Yeah, he does look like that, huh? He looks really good. Everyone looked great.
John C. Reilly was funny. Glenn Close was good. Lee Pace was amazing.
Really good makeup. I think I mentioned it, but I like everyone was pink. I like the pink.
Pink. Okay, so I think that will wrap it up for us, but let's talk about, I guess, overall ranking of this film.
Out of
rating.
stars?
Yeah, let's do best out of what? I don't know. Five?
Like, okay, I would give this honestly 4.5 stars. I thought it was really good. I would want to go see it again. I think that it surpasses Captain America 2 for me, because just the whole package itself was really good, and there's not one character that I thought, oh, I can get away with. Oh, yeah, and I remember what I was going to talk about. How do you feel about the little tease between Gamora and Quill and their relationship? Do you think it was well done here, or does it exist? Like,
I think it was well done. Part of me thinks, that maybe they could have just done without it. But I mean, there are really good scenes in the film that I laughed at, or I felt emotion for. So I guess it makes sense that they put them two together. Are they together in the comics? Not in this one. I think so. I think eventually.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But I can't remember. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know if they end up together, because in the ones that I read, I don't remember there being a true love story to this. But let us know. And I think it would probably be unnecessary to me. Like, there's so many characters.
That's how I felt.
Well, I'm really glad they didn't actually hook up, right?
Yeah, I agree. And that's how I always feel about romance.
Yeah.
That's unnecessary in movies.
Yeah.
So they did it. I thought they did okay, where they just kind of teased it. And they didn't go further than that scene on the balcony.
Totally.
So, yes, 4.5 stars. And
well, I guess I have to give it 5 since it's my favorite Marvel film of them all. Better than Avengers, I think. I think they just did a good job of telling a really relatively unknown story, and having it translate on film, and having it be funny, and having it be its own movie. So for me, I loved it. Obviously, hopefully you guys loved it too. Go out and see it this weekend.
Go out and see it tonight if you can.
And let us know what you think, because if you love it or hate it, we want to know.
We do want to know. What, do you agree with us, disagree with us, why not, and all that juicy stuff. And yeah.
So we're going to get to where you can follow us. I just realized we didn't have it up the whole time.
That right there.
Follow us at Team Amazian on Twitter. We're on Instagram now.
We are
on
Instagram.
Damn it. We made it. Maybe one day we'll have other stuff. I don't know.
We will have other stuff. If you are loyal followers, you will be happy.
I know. Get ready for season 2 of Team Amazian.
Season
start
2.
Soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Kaori, where can people find you?
You can find me at KAORIOUS, Kaorius, on Instagram as well as Twitter.
And you can find me by my name at Campea. Again, follow us. Chat with us. Let us know what you think. Leave your comment in the comment section below. And until our next review or next Team Amazian video.
Or Speak Nerdy returns.
Yes.
We'll see you soon.
We'll see ya.
Bye.